Now, Citi News' Niayikwe Okain reviews the politically related violence which characterized the process.
On July 20, 2020, the Special Development Initiatives Minister and Member of Parliament for Ewutu Senya East constituency in the Central Region, Mavis Hawakumson, fired gunshots at a polling station in her constituency, an occurrence many condemned. Also, a 28-year-old man was stabbed to death in an NDC and NPP clash at Banda in the Bono region over the new voters registration exercise. Reports indicate that he was mistaken to be a sympathizer of the NDC. Here in the Greater Accra region, and specifically at the Ghana National Preparatory School at Nungwa, some persons believed to be members of both NDC and NPP clashed over allegations of busing of people to the registration center. Violent clashes between supporters of the ruling NPP and NDC were also recorded during the registration exercise by the EC at Asokore Mampon in the Asawase constituency in Kumasi, leaving at least 3 people injured when supporters of the two political parties pelted each other with stones. 5 persons also got injured after bodyguards of the New Patriotic Party's parliamentary candidate for Ejumaku Esiam constituency, Dr. Rashid Etiafo, allegedly attacked registrants at Ejumaku Bisase over allegations of busing of people by the NDC. The latest of the violence to be recorded in the voter registration exercise is the Bono Nkrankwanta incidents, where 1 person is alleged to have died following a clash between members of the NDC and NPP in the mop-up registration exercise at Doma West District of the EC in the Bono region.
Still on the registration, and members of the National Democratic Congress in the Asawase constituency have accused the New Patriotic Party of busing registrants from other districts to the Asokore Mampo municipality to take part in the last day of the mop-up registration exercise. Now, some registrants in the constituency in an interview with Citi News also expressed frustration, noting that the process was very slow. Citi News' Fatih Aminu Ibrahim reports.
The last day of the mop-up registration exercise held at various district electoral commission offices to climax the EC's voters registration exercise saw heavy security presence at the Asokore Mampon EC office, where residents in the Asawase constituency who had not registered visited. During the registration process, the National Democratic Congress accused the New Patriotic Party of busing people who are not from the Asawase constituency to register. The Assembly member for Abuabo Extension, who doubles as the National Democratic Congress's constituency treasurer for the Asawase constituency, also accused the Electoral Commission officials and the MPP of attempting to disenfranchise some people by deliberately causing a delay in the process to prevent them from registering.
Yesterday we were here. We observed things for ourselves because we were getting some information that there was a certain busing going on. So we came here to observe things for ourselves. My area is one of the strongholds of the NDC, Abuabo Extension. We had the first phase, Akotia Line and Asabi. We also had the second phase, Akutu and other places. What we realized was that anytime it was in the stronghold of the NDC, the EC will make sure that they will suppress the number of registered there. The same thing they are doing today. It is the intention that number of people that were in the queue are going to vote for NDC because they think that most Zongo people or Muslims are affiliated to the NDC. Meanwhile, it wasn't so. Probably there's people who are also going to vote for NDC. I want to ask, I've been asking the head of the EC of the Asokore Mampon Municipal Assembly, was she an MPP agent or she's there to work for the nation? They are all working in line with what the MPP will say.
The MPP's first vice chairman for Asawase constituency, however, refuted the claims of the NDC, adding that the mop-up exercise has been smooth.
I would just say that is just something that they are doing to have sympathy on their side. Because how can someone identify who is an NDC or who is an MPP? Or is it because I am moving with someone or I'm having a discussion with someone that shows that the fellow is an MPP or an NDC? No, I don't think so. But if we could see someone who is not from this community or municipality or this constituency, then there is a process. You can pass through that process. My observation throughout the process is that I can say finally it's gone on smoothly. But notwithstanding the smoothness of it, there were some skirmishes, one or two problems that came around.
The situation also caused a delay in the registration process at the Asokore Mampon Municipal Electoral Commission's office. Some registrants who spoke to Citi News accused registration officials of giving preferential treatment to some registrants, leading to long queues.
Ebi ba ha 4 o'clock. Ebi ba ha 5 o'clock. Ye jina ha fi anopa no. Na ebi mu san ho koye na yet. Line mu ya edi line de ye jini. But ebi hu ase ebi mu abetwam. Na o ma wubam na o ma san ti. Ni yen yet ho. Se since anopa mba ya kura aduane kura menya ni. Omo ba omo se ebi mu ya adwuma ye fo so still de ebi hu ase o ma koye no ma bese. Na ye de yet was throw kuchi. Soup and a chimney me call baby, equia bidu. And she tell my mammy buy it, no better say so or more yabicus. And tina mammy again, me force for some bar. Send me bye bye. And some media bar. My best now need be Musan who call Namity and Uncle Agrabi from Bonapa in I am the behind rap and a Quantayo clock. Bruce that's when I am Gokra. About Bruce and I am Gorfino. Protocol, Dawson. What you are no matter for being no room. No, I go. If I had a pack and run 9 o'clock on me, try about 3 o'clock, then you bought my own and do 11. The Mr. If I were moving in Munua, and my Mr. Coy. Because from Alapa, by that time, no, you bought my own do 11, you bought better women. Come out and I'm trying to get them Mr. Coy. And then behind about 5 o'clock. I had them by our Majisana. So still, broke it one another way. I go 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock I go. Sinimbo Makumo with your woman stand. Until I don't know. And then bomb comes from Manasa Wupia by no bar. Questions may be so unnecessary. It would be so big question I didn't pass for. You didn't say the 1 yard, you know. So Casa Abia would require Coco ticket out of 2 Babra. And young Quasa. Obia made 2 Quamaka, we have the ticket in the model.
From the Asokore Mampon Municipal Electoral Commission's office, I am Ibra for Citi Newsroom.
Now, Ghanaians should expect the creation of over 1 million jobs in the next 4 years should they vote John Dramani Mahama back to power. That's Mr. Mahama's promise to electorates as the 2020 polls approaches. He made this and other promises in an interview on Wezo TV. Citi News' Ni Ayukwe captures highlights of that interview.
The NDC flag bearer outlined how his next government will achieve this promise by injecting some $10 billion into the economy and by optimizing gaps in human resource in the public service.
We're going to inject money into infrastructural development again, because that will involve the construction industry, engineering, and so on and so forth. And so it will bring a lot of artisans and everybody back into work. We're looking at what I call the big push, the big infrastructural push. And that's going to be an injection of about $10 billion to dualize our roads, to complete the 200 senior secondary schools, to finish all the hospitals that we were building, to do bridges, in order to open up the country and all that. So there's going to be an injection of $10 billion. And we believe that that should allow the engineering sector and the construction sector, the cement sector, building material sector, to create at least, 300 to 400,000 jobs.
Mr. Mahama further promised that the next NDC government under his watch will see the construction of a public university in each of the 6 newly created regions in the country.
I'd already done a visit of the 6 new regions, and during that period I said that an institution of higher learning, that is basically a university, will be established in the 6 regions. It will either be one university that has campuses in all the 6 regions, or it will be a number of different public institutions, because we want to take tertiary learning to every region, and it was the policy of Professor Mills that every region of this country must have a public university, and so that is still our policy.
The presidential candidate of the NDC in the interview took a swipe at the Akufo-Addo administration for what he says is the politicization of the judiciary.
There are some things that this government does that are tangible. I mean, in terms of setting us back and destroying our progress. But there are some things that are intangible, and the effects are not immediate to be seen. And that's why I said the tragedy is not in the huge debt, it is not in the huge ballooning fiscal deficit, but it is in setting back the institutions of democracy that we have built over the years. And I mean, you yourselves can see, I mean, the judiciary now has been packed with judges selected by this president. And so people, I mean, if you speak to anybody, they don't believe that you can get justice, you know, from this judiciary.
Meanwhile, the governing New Patriotic Party has urged Ghanaians not to take Mr. Mahama seriously.
The Constitution of Ghana states clearly as to the mandate of whoever has the right to appoint or to make such appointment. And then let me assure you that in all cases, it is a recommendation. The president doesn't appoint. Even if the president wants to appoint his own brother, he will refer it to the Judicial Council. That is the truth of the matter. For the former president to say that the current president is politicizing the judiciary, it's unfortunate, it's unacceptable. The presence of Mahama once upon a time in the history of this country as the president sent us back. So you stop making these comments. It is easier said than done. He has once occupied the seat of the president. Why didn't he deliver? He had every opportunity. He was a vice president and later he became a president. It is that Ghanaians are some kindergarten people that then he sits down there and then he rattles and he thinks that people will take him serious. The man has not learned his lessons. For me, honestly, he's not a serious politician. Government is not like using a test tube to perform experiments. It's a serious business meant for serious-minded characters.
So some other stories, and Asakai residents have hailed the opportunity to host Sekondi Takrade's first wastewater treatment and an integrated waste recycling plant.
The over €50 million project by Zoom Lion Ghana and its Hungarian partners with support from the Efia-Kwesiminti municipality is expected to reduce landfill waste management in Sekondi Takrade and create over 300 jobs for locals. Akwesi Ejenim has more in this report.
Asset care community in the Efia-Kwesiminti municipality, just like most communities in Sekondi Takrade and its environs, struggle with disposal of both solid and liquid waste. The Sofochrome landfill site, which receives liquid and solid waste from the Sekondi Takrade metropolis, the Efia-Kwesiminti municipality, and the Shama district, was recently described by the Parliamentary Select Committees on Water Resources, Sanitation and Local Government as the most dangerous in the country. The place also becomes inaccessible during the rainy season to waste trucks. It is in line with this that residents of Aseke have welcomed the decision to host a wastewater treatment and integrated waste recycling and compost plant.
Oh yeah, fine. Oh yeah, Hano. Oh yeah, boiler na baby yentungu. It is a Zoom Lion for Bessie. What's for by your daughter the mama and yes, so you did it there. Oh yeah, the papa.
If Zoom Lion is ready to bring this waste treatment here, I think it's very, very good for us to, I mean, we all enjoy the sanitation and those things. So I think it's quite okay. Because for me, for instance, we don't have any place to throw our waste and those things. So if Zoom Lion is well organized and they are bringing this treatments, I think they are welcome.
No, the projects in a saying painful day. Wabakano Colon Cotton Wafe, Cromo for the 1 year Jumo won't consider, and the projects in Alaba.
The Western Regional Manager of Zoom Lion, Alhaji Abdullah Abdallah, speaking to Citi News on the sidelines of a community engagement on the project at Asake, outlined the phases of the project and the construction timelines.
The first phase of the project is a road construction from Asake Township to the project site itself, and hopefully by 2 weeks' time you will see them on site working for the road. Once that is done, we move on to the wastewater treatment plant. The wastewater treatment plant has a capacity of 1,000 cubic meters on daily basis. This one translated will be like 100 to 200 trucks a day. And we even think that the entire Takoradi cannot even supply that based on what is happening at the Sofokron landfill site. This means that we are going to rely on other nearby districts to be able to supply the raw materials, and then the integrated waste recycling plant as well as the compost plant is also one of the components that on daily basis will take about 200 tons of waste. So it produces about 200 tons of waste. This also means that we will have to get some waste from other nearby districts to ensure that the factory gets adequate raw materials for production.
The chief executive for Efia Kwesiminti municipality, Kojo Akwa, who commended Zoom Lion for citing the project in his municipality to help address waste management issues, however, urged residents to cooperate with the construction processes.
We as an assembly are going to be seriously beneficial to this project. One, the sanitation issue in the Ekma area, we are a thing of the past. In most cases, especially during the rainy seasons, it becomes very hard for us even to transport our waste to the secondary landfill site, that is Sofokrom landfill site. Again, we are going to get revenue from the factory because we will take our property rates, we will take a lot of things from them, and employment too will be gained by the local people, that's the Aseke and Hindu residency here. That's the reason why we had the community engagement today. We wanted to brief them so there will never be any impediment, there will be no problem as far as the work is concerned.
Now, 40-year-old Prosper Bozo, a resident